Good evening, everyone. My name is Angie Heline, and I'll be your moderator for tonight's Waterloo federal debate. I'd like to begin by thanking Rogers TV for providing this important civic platform, and each of our candidates for being here. Running for office requires a deep personal commitment and time away from family and financial investment, and a willingness to put your vision for your community into the public spotlight. I sincerely thank each of you. Democracy thrives when we have the participation and choices on the ballot. Each candidate will have 1 minute to introduce themselves. I'll rotate the order, so every candidate has the opportunity to speak first and last across questions. You'll be able to see the same timer. I will only interrupt if the time exceeds or if comments move into personal attacks rather than constructive discussions on policy differences. Let's aim for a respectful, engaging, and informative conversation about the issues that matter most to your constituents. We're going to start with opening statements. I'll go to you first, Bardish. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Bardish Chagger. I am your Liberal candidate. Thank you to organizers, fellow candidates, and all of you for watching, as debates such as this are essential to the democratic process. Since 2015, I have had the honour of representing Waterloo in Ottawa as your Member of Parliament. During that time, our government has made progress in many areas. The facts are, Canada continues to have the best fiscal position in the G7. The tax-free Canada Child Benefit has lifted hundreds of thousands of children out of poverty. 900,000 families are benefiting from affordable early learning and childcare. 1.7 million Canadians have received much-needed services through the Canadian Dental Care Plan. The Pharmacare Plan is providing access to contraception and diabetes medication. The Housing Accelerator Fund has provided grants to municipalities, with Waterloo receiving over $23 million. In the face of threats from our southern neighbour, we have responded purposely and decisively, with plans to support impacted workers, businesses, while reconfirming the resilience of our sovereign nation. There remains much more to do, and I look forward to sharing our plan with you. I know it's been a challenging time, and that's why it's important that we all work together. I am here to work with you.
Thank you, Bardish. We're now going to move to a statement from the Santa Claus Chatham, and this is from the candidate from the Rhinoceros Party.
Hello, my name is Santa Claus, and I'm running with the Rhinoceros Party this election. My promises are simple. You will get Christmas every single day of the year. That is a statutory holiday every single day of the year. In addition, I will be abolishing the law of gravity. It was forced upon us undemocratically by Sir Isaac Newton in 1665. No one voted for the law of gravity. If Canadians want gravity, they'll have to elect an MP and then send angry emails to that MP when inevitably they do not fulfill upon their promises. Long live the Rhinoceros, and have a very merry election season.
Our next person that's providing us our introduction is Heline.
Hi Waterloo, my name is Heline Chow and I'm running with the NDP for the city that has grown from a place I came to study to a place I now call home. While I've loved living in Waterloo, I've also seen how many people have fallen victim to the unaffordability crisis in the last few years. Whether it's plans for retirement, saving for your first home, or just to pay next month's rent. Like a lot of young Canadians, my dreams of owning a home seem more distant each year. Even finding a place to live that doesn't eat up all of your paycheck is a struggle. I believe in a Canada where you shouldn't fall to chance whether you get to live a good life, where the products of your labor get invested back into your community rather than into the bank of a billion-dollar corporation. I believe in a better future, one where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, not just survive. The NDP believes in putting people first, not just the wealthy few. And you'll see over the rest of the answers I give today how we're going to do that.
Thank you. Simon, would you please give us your 1 minute introduction?
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and I'm glad you're joining us today. My name is Simon Guthrie, your Green Party candidate in Waterloo. I'm here because I believe Canada and Waterloo deserve forward-thinking leadership and a green-minded vision for the future. As a longtime advocate for social justice and community action, I've seen firsthand how climate change, rising inequality, and threats to our democratic processes demand bold solutions. With a focus on sustainable practices like wetland protection, affordable housing, a guaranteed livable income, and inclusive policies that leave no one behind, our platform prioritizes both people and the planet. We also stand apart through our commitment to participatory democracy, ensuring that every Canadian has a voice at the table. I want to emphasize that investing in renewable energy, protecting our natural habitats, and strengthening social supports are not just environmental imperatives, but moral responsibilities. Together, we can move beyond old divisions and toward a fair, sustainable, and thriving Canada. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, my name is Jamie Hari. I'm running as an independent candidate in this federal election. However, I have banded together with a number of my colleagues who are also seeing them not a home for themselves in any of the existing parties. A lot of the parties today will talk about bold solutions and then present halfway solutions. And the idea that I'll be presenting today will be far more aggressive in terms of tackling situations like the food and shelter crises, and as well as taxing the ultra wealthy in a way that sees a complete end to the billionaires that are oppressing us in Canada. I've had the fortune of working at a number of Waterloo companies like OpenText and even Rogers over the years, and this community is my home, and I'm here to fight for both Waterloo, my son, who has grown up here, but also for all of Canada and for some human needs being human rights. So my name is Jamie, and I'll look forward to talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Val.
Hello, my name is Val Neekman. I am running as an independent here in Waterloo. I do have a direct message to the young folks in Waterloo. I'm looking at one right now. You are my future. However, I'm here today and now. I know that your heart is at the right place, in the right place, and I know that you mean well, but your action must follow. I want you guys, the young folks of Waterloo, get involved early, because the destiny of Canada and the future of Canada is yours. I'm old enough and my head is conservative because I want to protect what we've built together. My heart is liberal because I want to push the envelope of progress. So at some point, these two, heart and mind, they have to meet somewhere in the middle. That's why I call myself a moderate independent candidate, and I hope that I see you on my website soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Hans, welcome.
Hello, my name is Hans Roach, and I'm running as an independent candidate for the people of Waterloo in the next federal election. I've dedicated my life to this community as your city councillor, former school board trustee, former president of Waterloo Minor Hockey, even head coach of the Wilfrid Laurier University women's softball team. I've rolled up my sleeves and raised thousands of dollars for local charities with people like you. And I think that we can all work together to make Waterloo a very proud place. But I believe we can do more. We deserve better. I'm running as an independent because I think it's time we had a voice in Ottawa that answers to the people of Waterloo, not just party bosses. No whipped votes, no political games, just honest community first leadership. So I'm not here to climb the political ladder. I'm here to bring your voice to Parliament and put Waterloo first, always. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Let's get started with our questions. So we're going to start with economy and affordability. And we'll be starting with Heline. A recent survey by a local city economic development found that 92% of manufacturing businesses anticipate being impacted by tariffs. 70% are concerned about reduced demand and sales. 55% of all respondents reported direct impacts from tariffs. 79% of large employers and 86% of small businesses reported being affected or uncertain. Our question is, how does your party plan to address tariffs and trade relations with the US and global markets, particularly in a way that supports Canadian manufacturers and protects local jobs in communities like Cambridge Waterloo?
Thank you for that excellent question. It's hard to keep track of what the current tariffs are on Canada, but what is clear is that our largest trading partner is now unpredictable and unreliable. The NDP has a plan to protect the people who need it most, workers, consumers, and businesses. Broadly, we will impose retaliatory tariffs until the US drops the remaining tariffs that are imposed, but every dollar that is collected through those tariffs will go right back to supporting our communities. We're going to build in Canada and build an approach to self-reliance, cut out US vendors from federal contracts, and prevent predatory foreign takeovers of our industries so that we can build more homes, more infrastructure, and more services for Canadians. For workers, the NDP will strengthen worker protections, expand unemployment insurance, and cut taxes for those who need it most. For Canada, we're now all in this together, and the NDP knows it's going to be all hands on deck when it comes to fighting Trump and these tariffs.
Thank you. Simon.
Thank you. It's been the conversation that comes up the most frequently as I knock on doors, as I talk to folks around Waterloo and Waterloo region and across the country. We can't duck from it. We recognize that it requires an all hands on deck approach, an all of the above approach. We are faced with another 3.5 years of Donald Trump's presidency. We need to keep talking to him because he will be the president. His administration has enormous power over our economy and the global economy. But at the same time, we'll recognize that he's not the only American voice that there is. We will continue to work to build relationships in border states, both with politicians and with Americans. We will recognize that while we've spent the last 40 years developing economic trade with the United States, we've perhaps let slide the rest of the world. And we'll remind the rest of the world that we are a reliable and a reliable economy, a reliable partner, and a source of vast resources and tremendous human ethic.
Thank you. Jamie.
Thank you very much. I want to agree with Simon there for a moment about the idea of trading, finding new trade partners internationally. Some of the ones that I think that some of the other parties might not be agreeing with are China. We need to come closer to China in terms of reducing the tariffs that we have on them and asking them to do the same with us, excuse me, and also being able to find new partners in Europe, South America, and everywhere else. I think one of the things that we shouldn't be doing is we shouldn't be penalizing our working class through self-imposed tariffs and then claiming that that money will supposedly go back without any details of how that's going to happen. Instead, a universal basic income would provide guarantee for those folks who lose their jobs, whether it's in the steel sector, the automotive sector, or anywhere else as a result of tariffs. And that's something that we can do irrespective of how much we collect on tariffs and applying more self-hurt in order to supposedly impact America. Not to say that we shouldn't retaliate in ways that we can and we will, such as not traveling to America or buying American, but hurting Canadian workers is not the best way.
Thank you. Val.
You know, when you vote for a person based on the color of the party, this is what you get. You have to vote for the best person that is capable of negotiating with Donald Trump. Probably I'm the only one here who's lived in the US for 2 years. And I know that Canadians, they're very polite. At a four-way stop sign, everybody goes, you go first for 2 hours. Americans, they're direct. You gotta go and project power, but be direct and respectful. When a prime minister of a country flies over the White House with the president sitting there and goes to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring, you don't get no respect from the next president. 80% of the solution is understanding the problem in the first place. And the problem is that we select or elect prime ministers that they're not capable. All I'm saying is pick the best person, send them to Ottawa, and then they will pick the best prime minister, and that's how we negotiate with down south. Thank you.
Thank you. Hans.
Waterloo is a hub for advanced manufacturing and innovation, industries that rely heavily on cross-border trade. The recent tariffs from the US really hit our region hard. Waterloo's economy thrives on innovation and trade, but the US threatens us with these tariffs and our supply chains. As an independent, I'll push for targeted tax relief for local businesses and the workers that are hit hardest, while advancing stronger trade agreements that protect Canadian jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Bardish.
Thank you for the question. And this is something that I've been hearing a lot at the door. So I know this is an issue that is very pressing to many Canadians. And so as a Liberal government, as the Liberal Party, we're focused on what we can control. The one thing I know is representing the diverse voices in Waterloo, a lot of the solutions and opportunities for this conversation, this negotiation, are going to come right out of our community. And that's why I'm here to listen to you and to engage with you. We have negotiated with President Trump in the past. We did well with the NAFTA 2.0 negotiations, which is now CUSMA 2.0. I know it's frustrating to our American neighbors that we did negotiate a really good deal, but it's a good deal that works for businesses and for workers. And that's what's important, is that we uphold the negotiations that we've held. But the US knows very clearly that we are here to negotiate. We will not stand idly by. Canada is a sovereign nation. We have a lot to offer. And that's why you're noticing that President Trump right now is kind of changing his position, because he knows clearly that he needs Canada, and Canada's here to work with them as well as the world.
We're going to be starting with Simon with our next question, and it's on income and tax equity. Many Canadians are struggling with the rising cost of living. Income tax policies significantly impact financial stability. Our question: what is your party's plan to ensure a fair and sustainable tax system that supports middle and lower income Canadians while maintaining essential public service?
Thank you. The Green Party platform contains two significant commitments in terms of income tax. The first one is that we will eliminate personal income tax on the first $40,000 of income. This will help the most vulnerable in our communities. It'll help those that are struggling to make their rent, those that are struggling to buy groceries. We will also commit to a guaranteed livable income, often called universal basic income. We have been consistent in our commitment to that over the years, over the elections, over the campaigns. We know that this works. It's been tested out in Canada. This isn't a new idea to us. We've seen it in Manitoba in particular, that it did not result in fewer people working. It resulted in people being more satisfied with the work that they were doing and more secure in the lives that they were leading. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie.
Thank you. I would like to echo Simon's point about the universal basic income. I agree that that is the absolute correct approach as the first step. However, the question was about tax fairness and income equality and also wealth equality, and that doesn't go all the way. So a lot of the concerns with universal basic income are that the billionaire class would simply raise the rents and raise the food prices once again, taking all of that money back away from Canadians that they were just given. So it has to come with aggressive tax policy on the ultra wealthy, which includes like an annual scaling wealth tax on anyone over 30 million US dollars or 40 so million Canadian, scaling up to 10% for billionaires. We need to be very aggressive and basically get rid of billionaires altogether. Those two pieces will help, but it's certainly also not the entire story. Things like how the Liberals have recently re-lowered the inclusion rate for capital gains, that only benefits the ultra wealthy, and we need to bring that to 100% inclusion rate to make tax fair.
Thank you. Val.
If you could read the question.
Absolutely, I can. What is your party's plan to ensure a fair and sustainable tax system that supports middle and lower income Canadians while maintaining essential public services?
Yeah, I'm a party one, independent. So the way that it goes, if we punish the rich, so-called millionaires, nobody's going to invest in Canada. Nobody. Who's going to come here and start a company and make an attempt to thrive, and then the government goes, you know what, you're $30 million rich now, I'm going to cripple you. Nobody's going to invest. And those people who take risk, the big risk, we should reward them. So more people come here and more money comes to Canada. Look, I understand the diversity, equity, and inclusion. I understand the E for equity. But I tell you, if you cripple businesses and if you prevent the incentive for them to come to Canada, we're going to be all equal. And we're going to be equal in being poor. And nobody listens to a poor country. They're going to kick us out of G7, and we're going to be irrelevant. We have to make sure that we create the incentives for the companies to come here and create the jobs of tomorrow.
Thank you. Hans.
That's a great question, Ange. And, tax fairness is at the height. And what we need to do is we need to stop loopholes. Although legal, some may be unethical. Our current Prime Minister, in his former position, diverted billions of dollars away from Canada that could have gone to healthcare, homelessness, and we need tax fairness. So I think that we could ease costs through tax relief, uniting our community around these shared goals. So that's what I really want to lead. We want to talk about tax fairness. As I said, although legal, they perhaps are unethical when you want to go away from investing in Canada.
Thank you. Bardish.
Thank you. So I'll just start with some of the work that we have done. Bringing in the tax-free Canada Child benefit has been instrumental to lifting hundreds of thousands of children out of poverty. The Early Learning and Childcare Plan 900,000 families are benefiting from this program so that every child has a similar or an equal start in life. As a government, we brought in a new tax bracket. So in 2015, prior to us being elected, there was 4 income tax brackets. Today there's 5. So we brought in a new tax bracket for the wealthiest 1%. And it has demonstrated that a high tide does lift all boats because it's about equity over equality. We have canceled the carbon tax that was increasingly divisive, recognizing what the needs of Canadians are. We are committing to lowering the lowest income tax bracket by 1%, which would save 2-income households over $800 a year. We will be eliminating the GST on first-time home buyers, and the list goes on. I know I'm running out of time, but we have a plan that I would like all of you to consider. It is a plan that will help with affordability. It will help with all Canadians.
Heline.
I hear it every day at the doors.
May I ask you to pause? I see that we have a rebuttal.
Hi, I'd like just to make a correction. We have not canceled the carbon tax. We've rated it to 0 with the option to raise it later.
Sorry, I see that we've asked for Heline to go first, and then we'll go to Val. Is that okay? Thank you, everybody.
With
Heline,
my
I'll let you go.
statement?
Yes.
I hear it every day at the doors. People are concerned about government spending's role in inflation for every proposal of social services that we make. It is irresponsible to hand out money without the assurances of its impact. So to increase revenue, I believe that the wealthiest people in Canada should be the ones paying more taxes. Currently, many of the richest Canadians and corporations are hiding their money in offshore tax havens. And that's why the NDP has a plan to close these loopholes and use the increased revenue to build infrastructure, strengthen our healthcare, and otherwise lower costs for Canadians, so that the profits made off the labor of Canadians go directly back to Canadians. Meanwhile, the NDP also plans to cut taxes by raising the base fiscal amount to $19,500, saving people making between $20,000 and $180,000 about $500. We also plan to remove the GST from essentials like grocery store meals, diapers, strollers, and monthly bills. In short, during these economically uncertain times, the government must ensure that the wealthiest pay their fair share, while the working Canadians deserve our support.
Thank you. Val, you wanted to do a rebuttal as well.
Sure. Lowering taxes or lowering carbon tax, it would have meant way more had it been last year before the election. I went there and I filled up the tank. It was $65. 2 weeks ago, it was $100. So be careful. They bait you. They bait you when they need your vote. As soon as they get your vote, they're going to jack it up. Read my lips.
Bardish.
The one approach I've taken in the community of Waterloo, the riding of Waterloo, is really to work with Canadians, to work with constituents. I think it's really important that we recognize that you can see it at the pumps. Prices on gas have come down over 20 cents. Last night I got an email from a constituent who said they filled up at $1.10.9 at a gas station. So it has been removed. I hear the point in regards to things can come back. We've been really clear with our plan. There is a rebate coming. It will be the last rebate. We will be focusing on the environment because climate change is real and it does matter. Others might not agree with that, but we know that we have to make decisions based on evidence, not ideology.
Our next question will be starting with Jamie, and we're moving on to the topic of post-secondary education. Conestoga College, the University of Waterloo, and Wilfrid Laurier University together support approximately 78,000 full-time students. What will your party do to support low and middle-income students who want to pursue post-secondary education, particularly in regard to federal student loan programs?
Well, the answer is actually going to be short. I don't know if I'll need the whole minute. We'd make post-secondary education in Canada absolutely subsidized to $0. We don't believe there should be barriers to democracy or education or healthcare or food or shelter. All of these are capitalist ideas that you'll get from the Conservatives and the Liberals. Thank you. That's my time.
Val.
My daughter wanted to get to Sheridan College for animation. She tried and tried and tried. And she couldn't. Why? Because most of the seats were allocated to foreign students. Conestoga College is missing 30,000 foreign students because the Liberals, you know what they did? There's a company or many companies like Apply Board here. They had rogue agents in India, all the villages. They selling promises to all these students, 18 to 22. Come to Canada, come and study. They show up at the airport, somebody picks them up, they never go to school, and they're missing students. And then the Liberals, what they did, $200 conversion fee from foreign students to temp worker, they even removed that to make it simple. And then everybody became a Tim Horton worker instead of being at Conestoga College. Charity starts from home. I'm responsible for the kids who were born here first, and then everybody else. That's how it goes.
Hans.
I have, I've lived in this community for over 50 years, and this is such a, not only just a tech-based community, but a student-based community. And my real concern here with students is not just being able to afford it, but being able to live in Waterloo. It's tough. As a city councillor, I've actually been in the basements of people on Columbia Street where there's 12 people from India living in this basement. And that's what we really need to work on. We need to support housing, their tuition costs, and you know what? Maybe not give the false hope of coming here and you can live and work, and then when you're finished, you're sent home. I'm really concerned with the way that people live in Waterloo, the students especially.
Thank you. Bardish.
I'm, as I mentioned, born and raised in this community. I had the privilege of not only attending the University of Waterloo, but graduating successfully from it. And so I know the impact that students, young people, graduates make. And I know right now that they want to be able to graduate and be able to find meaningful employment. And that's why we want to grow an economy that allows every individual to participate. Talking about what student needs are today, we know that housing is a concern, and that's why we've removed the GST on purpose-built housing rental units for students. We've also gone as far as ensuring that there's no interest on Canada student loans. I had a Canada student loan, graduated in 2004, 6 months of repayment relief, but interest accumulated the day after I graduated. And that was the day when I started advancing policies and was so pleased to be part of a government that saw the importance of removing interest on Canada student loans. And we've done that today. We've also had the first increase in over 2 decades to master's and doctoral scholarships and postdoctoral fellowships. We have more work to do, and I'm willing to do it with you.
Thank you. Heline.
Between my undergrad and my grad school, I was in school for almost 10 years. I know what it's like to be on a student budget and trying to survive in this city. Post-secondary education needs our support. We've seen what happens when they're critically underfunded by the province. Post-secondary institutions are incentivized now to dramatically increase enrollment, especially for international students, that are then blamed for the lack of housing. This is completely unacceptable. With proper funding, there would be less incentive for these bad actors. Universities also need to look inwards at what exactly they're spending their money on and focus less on bonuses and super high executive salaries and more on the students and the quality of the education that they're getting. Beyond that, people's lives need to be affordable so they can pursue an education when they need to. The NDP will fight to make student lives more affordable in several ways, whether it's their rent, their groceries, their tuition, and make sure that Waterloo is a place that you can choose to live and stay here after your education as well.
Simon.
Heline, I may have spent more time in post-secondary than you did, and it's not a contest I want to win. The University of Waterloo is the reason I came to this region. I completed a master's degree in physics. Then more than 20 years later, I completed a master's in peace and conflict studies. One from the science faculty, one from the arts faculty. The universities are not just critical to our community, but they're critical to the future of Canada. They are where the basic research is being done, where the ideas are being developed that will turn into our economy in the future. But at the same time, our universities are in a fair bit of trouble, and the students are as well. Because of miscommunication or a total disinterest in communication between different levels of government, between institutions, we see universities and colleges that have enormous budget deficits right now, structural deficits that cannot be fixed with a short round of layoffs. We need to make sure that the universities have predictable funding and predictable international student enrollment several years into the future so that we don't see the lurch that we've seen recently. To the students in particular, I'll repeat that we are offering free tuition for post-secondary students and a guaranteed livable income to support their living needs.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Val. We're moving on to, I'm sorry. I am so sorry, Bardish.
Just a rebuttal. I want to do a rebuttal.
I thought, like, did I miss
No, you didn't.
Oh, you would like a rebuttal.
And you don't need to be sorry, just be yourself. I would just like to, just a rebuttal on that topic, because I think it's important, some really valid points have been raised, that Canada is a federation, so all levels of government must work together. Though the federal level does actually issue the visas, the federal government does not have information as to how many international or domestic students are being accepted by post-secondary institutions. So I agree that we do need funding models that work for institutions, and the province has a role to play. Over the last 9 years, the federal government has been more than a willing partner to say, let's find a way forward. They've not accepted that opportunity. So I just want to say it's important that we find a way forward.
Yes, Val.
They say if you build it, they will come. Sean Fraser, Minister of Immigration, let them come in millions and then switch to a housing minister to build it. It's totally reversed and it doesn't work. You cannot issue visa if we don't have homes for them. You cannot issue visa if we cannot have healthcare for them. Charity starts from home. Charity starts from home. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to be moving on to foreign policy. We're going to be starting with Val. What is your party's approach to defense spending on Canada's role in NATO, given rising global tensions?
We have to pull our weight. We cannot say, you know, we're next to the giant and the giant is our friend, and then whatever happens to us, they're going to come and rescue us. What if they turn against us? What's going to happen? You see right now, Donald Trump goes, hey, you got to pull your weight, and they want even to leave NATO because nobody's paying that 2%. We have the technology, University of Waterloo, all these universities. We could build all the drones that they don't need pilots. They just go up north and just, you know, every inch of Canada is covered and protected. We have to invest in our young graduates. I've hired many University of Waterloo graduates right here, and I've trained them. And the only thing that I asked them was pay it forward. And you know what happened? They went to the US, created ChatGPT of the world. I want these students to stay here, to work on military gears, so we build our own, we don't need anybody else, and we protect every inch of this country from coast to coast to coast. Thank you.
Thank you. Hans.
I believe that Canada must meet its NATO commitments. And, you know, it's not all about tanks. It's about peacekeeping, it's about technology, it's about innovation as well. But we must invest in a modern, responsive military. But we must also be smart and accountable about it too. So I don't believe that our government has been doing that within the last 10 years. And I think as an independent MP, I'll advocate for investments in cybersecurity, equipment modernization, and veteran services, while ensuring spending is transparent. So security is essential, but waste isn't essential. So Waterloo expects better, and I will help deliver that.
Thank you. Over to you, Bardish.
Thank you. We know very clearly that we can no longer rely on the United States of America. Our relationship has changed, though we do share the longest border of any two countries in the whole world. Now more than ever, we need to secure Canadian sovereignty by strengthening our military, making our communities more resilient, and protecting against global threats. We must be prepared for new challenges like a warming Arctic, where we must be prepared to face a hostile Russia or emboldened China. And that's why a government led by Mark Carney will ensure that military personnel have the proper equipment they need to serve effectively. We will expand Canada's defense with new submarines, heavy icebreakers, and advanced drone capabilities. We will integrate the Canadian Coast Guard into Canada's NATO defense capabilities to better protect our coast and reinforce our sovereignty. We will also fill the CAF member shortage by modernizing recruitments and giving them a well-deserved pay raise. It's important that we work with them. We've been listening to the advice they're providing, and we will engage and work with them to ensure that they can succeed.
Thank you. Heline.
With rising geopolitical tensions and threat to our sovereignty, we need to reassess how we protect ourselves. The NDP is committed to increasing our defense spending up to 2% of Canada's GDP by 2032, but making sure that spending happens in Canada instead of abroad. We would cancel our contracts for U.S. aircraft and jets and focus our efforts on Arctic sovereignty, including new marine and rescue stations and full-time military bases in the territories. Let me be clear, though. We are not war makers, but we are peacemakers. The NDP will continue to contribute 0.7% of its gross national income to international aid, invest in the Foreign Service, and create a quick reaction force to deploy UN peacekeeping so that we can be a force for international stability and prevent conflicts rather than making them happen. I still have some time here, so I'll have to say this as well. We can no longer remain complicit in the genocide that is happening in Palestine, and Canada has a role to stand up against this.
Simon.
Heline, thank you for your last comment. that's really important to recognize the atrocities that are going on in the Holy Land, especially as we come up towards Easter this week. When it comes to Canada's role globally, there is so much work to be done. We will meet our NATO commitments. We sign contracts, we sign treaties. We will meet those commitments that we've made in the past. We have a lot of work that we can do with the Canadian military, with the Canadian Armed Forces, just to modernize it, just to bring it back up to where it is, so that our men and women in uniform that are defending our country, both here and abroad, that are defending human rights here and abroad, they're supplied, that they are provided for, that they have what they need in order to do the job that we ask them to do. We need to redouble our efforts in international aid, particularly around climate, because if we can de-escalate crises around the world, whether it's a conflict or whether it's a climate crisis, we will lower the need for armed conflict to actually happen. Thank you.
So in my day job, actually, I'm a cybersecurity expert, and I've spent the last several years protecting Canadians through that lens, including working with the Canadian Security Establishment and other Canadian letter organizations to protect millions of Canadians. This is an area I know very well. And it's unfortunate because when you look at NATO, the largest contributor by far, 2/3 of spending in NATO comes from America. So when the biggest spender in NATO is the person threatening to attack us, we don't need to be in NATO. And we would remove ourselves from NATO and seek mutual defense agreements individually with other countries. Beyond that, I think it's rather interesting and perhaps a little hypocritical. I agree with you completely about the genocide in Palestine, but it's unfortunate that the NDP as recently as last week kicked out members for being pro-Palestine, and other names like Sarah Jama come to mind as well. So I think we need to speak loudly and clearly about pro-Palestine and act that way rather than just talking that way and doing the opposite of what they say. Thank you very much.
Have a rebuttal?
Yes, please. I'm just going to say that my stance is clear. I stand with the people of Palestine, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that we end this genocide. It's a two-way arms embargo. It's stopping the illegal Israeli settlements, and it's doing everything we can to save innocent lives. How many more people are we going to watch die before we do something? And I stand with that 100%.
Val?
Liberals, they have a kind heart during the election, and they have a wild mind after the election. They should not be trusted. 10 years is enough. As far as military goes and all this stuff, they had 10 years to do something about it. Every time there's an election, we're going to do this, A, B, C, D. After the election, they forget about it. And now Donald Trump is threatening the sovereignty of our nation. Thank you.
Before we move on to the next question, I'm just going to ask for a kind reminder that we keep our rebuttals to the policy versus the people. Thank you. You would like a rebuttal?
Sure.
Yes.
I think it's important that we stay to the facts. So I appreciate the reminder that you've just offered. And the Liberal government's positions have been clear. And we have no export permits have been issued since January 2024. I think it's important that we recognize that what's happening in the Middle East is very concerning, very devastating. And no human being should it be killed. And nobody is permitting that or accepting of that. We do need to find a way forward that is peaceful and allows agency for these people. They have to be involved.
Yes, you have a rebuttal.
A quick rebuttal to Bardish's comment. As she pointed out correctly, no new contracts since 2024. However, I'd like to point out that the problem wasn't started in 2024, so they had all the opportunity to make those two-way embargo deals, but they waited months and months and months, and in fact, new contracts are still ongoing, so that's unfortunate.
I'll give you the last one, Heline.
My rebuttal will be quick. Unless there is justice for the people committing this genocide, there'll be no peace in that region.
Agreed.
We're moving on to Indigenous reconciliation, and I believe we're starting with Bardish. How will your party ensure Indigenous communities have access to clean drinking water, quality housing, and improved infrastructure? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I was supposed to be starting with Hans.
Okay. Can you repeat the question?
I absolutely can. How will your party ensure Indigenous communities have access to clean drinking water, quality housing, and improved infrastructure?
Thank you for this excellent question. You know, we can't talk about reconciliation and still have boiling water notices. This is something I think that our current government is not committed to or has fallen through. We've heard it in the last actually couple elections about the drinking water safety, and this all relates into reconciliation. It's not just a tag you wear on your chest and you're all of a sudden with reconciliation, but specifically with water advisories, we need to take this very seriously. These are our native Canadians. They're as Canadian, maybe more so than all of us here. But I think we're doing a terrible job right now. We can say we're doing better. We can say we're going to do more, but we're saying that every single election. We need to do better.
Thank you, Hans. Bardish.
Thank you. Unless Indigenous, everyone immigrated to Canada at some point. So I would just say to the last comment, Indigenous peoples are not ours. They are their own entities. They are their own individuals. And it is a very diverse nations because we know that they all have treaty rights. The federal government, what we did under Jane Philpott, and I know she's no longer a Liberal member of Parliament, was to ensure that that information was publicly available. So you can actually go online to everyone who's watching and see exactly what boil water advisories exist. You can see how they've been added and removed. One thing our government has done is truly respect the TRC recommendations and ensure that Indigenous communities are both enabled and empowered to make their own decisions. The whole Ottawa knows best approach is not going to work, and we have refrained from that to ensure that Indigenous communities are able to be self-governing as they should be to make their own decisions, because we also believe that everyone should have access to clean water. All the information is publicly available online.
Thank you. Heline?
One of the reasons I pursued a degree in environmental engineering is because I believe access to clean water is a right. Reconciliation is an ongoing process, but clearly not enough has been done. The NDP is committed to a full adoption of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People and to implement recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. While the current government has spent hundreds of millions of dollars fighting Indigenous people in court, the NDP is actually interested in working to nation to respect the free and prior informed consent of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. This includes investment into safe housing, clean drinking water, and access to healthcare in every Indigenous community. The NDP is also committed to support the efforts in Nunavut to develop more housing, establish more affordable air travel, telecommunications infrastructure, and deep sea ports. The time for false promises is over, and the time to act is now.
Simon.
The Green Party is committed to fully implementing the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. We're committed to fully implementing the calls to action from both the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Commission. But at the same time, we recognize that reconciliation is not a document, it's not a point in time, that these conversations are ongoing and they must be ongoing to recognize that the realities that Indigenous nations face are changing, and that we must work together in a nation-to-nation relationship to address the concerns that we have together. We propose a true partnership with Indigenous nations by including them in key decision-making at the federal level through a Council of Canadian Governments, for example. We commit to honouring treaties that have been signed by Canada, by Canada's forebears, by corporations on behalf of the Crown in the past, and we commit to dismantling the Indian Act through Indigenous cooperation and Indigenous processes.
Thank you. Jamie.
Thank you very much. And I would like to echo both what Heline and Simon said. I think they both made very great points, and I would agree with those in terms of meeting the commitments that we've already made and treating Indigenous peoples with the respect that they both deserve ethically and according to international law. But I think it's also important to now go further than what's already been discussed and talk about land back, for example. I think we need to have a national discussion about what that looks like, and decolonization, not just meeting the basics of communication and providing basic services. We talk about the transparency of the Liberal government and all the wonderful websites that show all of the failures that they've had in terms of providing that water. The Neskantaga community just celebrated their 30th anniversary on that list. So transparency is well and good, but action is actually what's needed. So I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive in our approach and be listening and taking action as we're working with those communities.
Val.
I have two kids, and they're 20 and 22. One day I'm hoping that they fall in love with an Indigenous girl or boy, and that would be awesome. But one thing that I wanted to pass on to you is Dwelling on the past is not good. Send your kids to school, turn them into politicians, get them to fend for you. If you're asking Ottawa to do anything for you, they're not going to do it. And then the moment that they want to do it, they send somebody incompetent up there that doesn't know how to purify water. I'm an engineer. If, I don't know, Waterloo selects me or elects me and sends me to Ottawa, I could solve this problem in no time, because you know what? 80% of the solutions are understanding the problems, and people in Ottawa do not understand problems. Every time there's an election, they promise, they feel bad for you. Don't feel bad for yourself. Time has come and gone. Rely on people like me, on people who know how to fix things. I'm a fixer. Just call my name and I will fix it for you. Thank you.
We've now arrived to the portion of our debate where we're going to do closing remarks. We're going to be starting with you, Bardish.
Closing too first?
Closing.
All right. Thank you. There continue to be many issues confronting Canadians: climate change, reconciliation, affordability, international and domestic trade, growing the strength of our economy, making our immigration system work for Canada, maximizing the skills that newcomers bring, ensuring youth and graduates have access to meaningful employment, and more. Moving forward on these issues will require a holistic approach, one that recognizes the interconnections between all levels of government, economic investment, the private sector, education, health, social well-being, and the environment. I want to continue to represent you, to fight for Waterloo, and to highlight the strengths our community offers. I've always said, as much as the world needs more Canada, Canada needs more Waterloo. We can continue to create a just society of equity, opportunity, and respect for all. Canada can gain increased respect on the international stage, and I believe the moment is now. Mark Carney and the Liberal Party have a plan. We need your help to deliver it. My name is Bardish Chagger. I am your Liberal candidate, and I'm asking for your support on April 28th. Thank you.
Heline.
I'll just say this before I start with my closing remarks. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't get a chance to talk about climate change. A lot of the rest of this election has also not focused on climate change, and that is what should be one of our #1 priorities moving forward from now on. I'll get started now. This election is about who you trust to lead Canada through this difficult period. The choices are between a party that has supported cutting essential services or those who are forced to drag their feet into supporting them. We keep the other parties honest, and we will always fight for you no matter what. If a given party thinks Waterloo is a safe seat, they will not fight for you to keep it. If you don't vote with your values, the winner will think no one believes in them. The evidence is clear. Even with only 24 NDP MPs in the House, we were able to leverage our position to get pharmacare, dental care, childcare, worker protections, and so much more. This city is my home. I live here, and I will do everything in my power to improve it. If elected, that means representing you faithfully in Parliament. If not, I'll be right back out on those streets, fighting side by side with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today, joining us. We've heard important reflections on Indigenous settler reconciliation, on our relationship with the United States, on the realities of post-secondary education. These aren't separate issues, they're deeply connected with each other. As your Green Party in Waterloo, as your Green Party candidate in Waterloo, I believe in a Canada where immigration is guided by dignity and justice, where our response to climate change is bold and rooted in equity, and where poverty is not tolerated because every person deserves to live with security and purpose. From providing stable housing and fair wages to dismantling systemic racism, to empowering youth to take climate action, we have the tools and the responsibility to build a society where no one is left behind. My work in restorative justice, housing, and community resilience has shown me what's possible when we put compassion into action. Let's ensure our policies reflect that same care. To everyone who shared their knowledge and passion today, and to all of you who care deeply about our future, thank you. Now I invite you to engage with my campaign, volunteer, share our vision with your friends and neighbors, and follow our progress on social media. Let's keep working together for a just, sustainable, and inclusive Canada. Thank you.
Thank you again for having me at this debate and to have these important discussions. As I indicated at the outset, I'm running as an independent in this riding in this election, but I'm not the only candidate who feels that they don't have a home with the established parties. We had a press conference, myself and a few others as independents last Monday, and we've grown since then from a dozen candidates to well over 30. So look forward to, in the following election, the Revolution Party of Canada will bring a new alternative voice to the left in in Canada, which is unapologetic about some of the issues we've discussed today. And I echo Heline's point about the disappointing, unfortunate missed opportunity to talk about the environment. Donald Trump seems to take up all the oxygen in every room, in everywhere in the corner, in every corner of the earth, and we need to start having conversations that don't revolve solely around him and what he's trying to do to us. Thank you for your time, and again, the Revolution Party of Canada is coming.
Val.
My name is Val Neekman. I'm running as independent, and I'm not kidding myself. The chance of winning for me is small, but I still wanted to come here to see through this journey all the way to the end. I wanted to watch the end of this movie as well. Right now, there are 9 of us here. On the day of the election, you're going to be confused. Voter fatigue is going to kick in. You don't know who you vote for. And therefore, you're going to fall back on the name that you recognize the most. And unfortunately, Waterloo has decided that they banned our signs on the side of the road. So the incumbent gets a bonus right there because she's been there for 10 years. So the incumbent has been there for 10 years. If she wanted to do something, she would have done it by now. And you look at somebody else and see what's going on. Tune into my voice, look at my face. The moment that you figure out that I'm lying to you, do not vote for me. Because you have to figure out and detect how to send good people to Ottawa. Honorable Bardish, we thank you for your time here.
Hans.
I'm going to use actually a couple seconds of my closing statement just to acknowledge something that I don't think has been acknowledged yet, that the Conservative candidate has refused to show up for this debate. I think it's disrespectful to Waterloo and to his own party. You know, maybe he's on his way. He doesn't live in town, so maybe he got lost. The Rogers studio is kind of hard to find, so hopefully his GPS was working. But anyway, thank you. I'm running because I think Waterloo deserves a champion, not a party follower. For too long, we've had MPs sent to Ottawa to vote how they're told. Every day, maybe 300 votes a year, they get told how to vote. And it's not necessarily for the benefit of Waterloo. I'm running for Waterloo. I'm not red or blue. I'm Waterloo. I think as an independent MP, I'll answer only to you. So I'm Hans Roach, City Councillor, former school board trustee, community leader. I've spent my life in this region, and with your support, I'll take that service to the national stage. I think Ottawa will finally listen to Waterloo, and let's get out there and vote.
Thank you. We did have someone address somebody by name, and Bardish has asked for a rebuttal.
Honorable Bardish by name.
Yes, so I will just say that I think it's important that this election be about voting for someone, voting for who's going to fight for this community. We are a federation. All different levels of government need to work together. So decisions that are made in regards to regional signs or private property or whatever else are not made at the federal level. Waterloo is, I believe, the only riding in the whole country where all 3 levels of government are all located at Waterloo City Hall. I made a conscious decision of ensuring that we would move that office, and Dave Jaworski was the mayor at the time. MPP Fife also joined the call, and so all 3 levels of government in one building to ensure the constituents of Waterloo have the best services. I will always fight for you.
Thank you. We've now reached the end of our debate. I'd like to sincerely thank all of the candidates for sharing their time, perspectives, and visions for Waterloo. Your participation is vital to the democratic process. Thank you again to Rogers TV for your continued support and the promoting of civic engagement through accessible local broadcasting. Thank you and have a great evening.